to the social distancing version of the Kerper Tract walk. We are going to take a walk around here and see what we can find. First of all, what we always ask is, why is this called the Kerper Tract? Anybody know? Yeah. Mr. Edmund Kerper bought this place like 80 years ago, and he was here for 20 years or so as he lived the rest of his life, and this is where he died eventually, but then he willed the property to the state forest. So you guys can come down on your own and check things out. You don't need me to show you around. You can just walk around and see what you can see. So I do have some pictures here because we'll show you then. The pictures show what the place looked like 80 years ago in the 1930s. So what was going on in the 1930s when Mr. Kerper moved here? Anybody know? War? No, not a war. Not the 30s. Early 30s. Anybody ever hear of the Great Depression? So the Great Depression was, we were in the depths of the Great Depression. The stock market crashed in 1929. So the 30s were really bad. The economy was really bad in the 30s, and a lot of people around here were looking for work. So Mr. Kerper put them to work planting trees and shrubs all over this land. And his 500-acre purchase he made here. And because of that, we have a lot more trees, but we also have some good and some bad stuff that was planted. So we'll look at some of those different things. But yeah, he was really helping folks out here at the time because they needed work. And I guess we're gonna head on our walk now. Here we are at the kiosk that has our maps stored here for just the Kerper Tract map and the overall Buchanan State Forest map. So stop here before you walk further and check things out. And you can open up the map and see where we're going to walk today. We just crossed the bridge. We're going to go along the creek and do a little loop and come back. So it's a nice easy walk, gentle, no hill. All right, next go to the creek. Here we are along Big Cove Creek and looking at the stream bank and what the stream is doing to the stream bank. So what would you say about that?
Erosion?
It is erosion, yeah. And a certain amount of erosion is natural. You know that. That every stream, if it starts out straight, does it stay straight forever? No, it wants to migrate. Keep going left and right, and this is how it does that because there's more force exerted on that bank than on this bank. So it's eroding soil away from that bank, and at the same time it's depositing some soil on this side. So that's why this is more gradual and that's steeper. So that's a natural thing to some degree, but when you get into this situation where it's a steep bank and nothing on there for vegetation, then that can be a problem. Because then when a storm comes and it washes a lot of stuff away, we want to keep our soil where it is for the most part, as much as we can. So last year I did plant some more things over there by using cuttings, which is just taking a small branch and shove it into the mud, and with certain species it will grow for you. So I used a willow and a dogwood over there, and they're growing. If you were down here about a month ago, you would have seen a carpet of this plant everywhere. This is a trout lily, and it gets the name from the leaf, has this mottled look, kind of like the side of a brook trout. And they do grow next to the creeks where the brook trout live too. So this one's pretty healthy because it had the flower and now it's turned into a seed.
God.
This is one of our invasive plants that we deal with called garlic mustard. So there. It's called garlic mustard because it smells like garlic and it looks like a mustard plant. Because mustards have these seed pods that kind of point upward, and all these seed pods used to have these white flowers on them. So now it's getting near the end of its time. So it's kind of a spring ephemeral, which is it just means that it's just here for a short time. Just capitalizes on all that sunlight that's coming through the canopy, not getting intercepted by tree leaves in that spring period. So once June gets here, this plant pretty much dries up and dies. It's done for. But by that time, all these seed pods will be dried and mature too. So when you come walking through an area that has these plants in hunting season, you just kick the seeds everywhere for it. So yes, this is the biggest tree at the Kerper Tract. This is another big tulip poplar like the one we saw before, but this one's even bigger. And it has, why is it bigger?
It's more sunlight?
Yeah, it had space to spread its branches even bigger, and the trees that grow up around it are not shading it out much. So this tree is a lot bigger. Unfortunately, we don't know exactly how old it is, but we know this was here 80 years ago when Mr. Kerper bought the place. That's all we can say because of its form. So we are going to fill out a form here so that we can see if our tree will get into the Big Trees of Pennsylvania book. And to do that, you have to measure 3 things. One is the circumference. What's circumference?
Like the area of a circle?
Yeah, you measure all the way around the outside of the circle. Usually with forestry, we measure diameter, which is straight across the circle. But for this, they want to know the circumference. So we'll measure circumference and then get an estimate of the height. I'll show you how to do that. And then the other thing is to measure the crown spread. So that's challenging too. We'll see what we get here. So first, you can take this around the tree. We'll measure the circumference. Yep. So right there. That is 14 feet 1 inch. No, 14.1 feet. Yeah, it grew basically 3 inches since the last time we measured it. So that's good. So now we get to do the height. So first you aim at the bottom of the tree. You can get a measurement. And so for the bottom I got -4, which means I'm aiming down 4 feet, which we're pretty much on level ground, so that sounds about right. And then cutting through the crown a little bit. Ooh, yeah, the tree's taller than it was last time too. I'm going to say it's 130. Is the flattened shell, and if we could see the flaps of skin around his neck, there's some bright orange there. So here we have a nesting box that our guys put up years ago, and the hole is on the other side from me, facing the water. So any guesses as to what might use this nesting box?
Endangered bird?
It's a bird. It's a bird, that's for sure. And it's a really attractive bird. The male is. No,
Bigger.
it's actually a lot bigger. Yeah, it's bigger than you would expect. Would use this nesting box, because take a look at that hole. It's not a very big hole. Go ahead. And the hole is maybe 4 inches wide and 2.5 tall. That's not very big, but a wood duck will fly directly into that hole. Yeah, that's a wood duck box, and this is in pretty good shape still. They put up 5 new ones last year along here. But I don't know how many of them get used, but it's pretty cool to see them. So I figured we'd end this here at home, which was Mr. Kerper's home, and he lived here. And if you look in that photo, that's pretty amazing to believe that that house stood here. And up until a few years ago, you couldn't even tell that anything was here because everything was overgrown on this spot. So you couldn't see these stone walls before. So now the guys cleared it and exposed the stone walls and steps again, and a little picnic table up here. So come down for a visit sometime. There's also the handicap bridge to an area you can sit with your family and enjoy nature. So come on down.